Welcome to CityBiz. We have arrived at the end of August. It was inevitable, but it still seems like the summer's gone too fast. But I suppose if you are living at the eastern edge or the northeastern edge of town, maybe it can't be over soon enough because of all the work with laying the new pipe. But progress is being made, and if it seems like the world blew up, no, we're just getting our new sewer system in. It is the sewer system, not just the water system.
New conveyance system, sewer line.
So welcome to the end of August, coming right up on September and Labor Day. I'm your host, Melinda Arndt. Here's Councilman Michael Halley. We're ready to bring you up to date on CityBiz. I guess I covered one thing that didn't need to be covered because it's so obvious, the work on the sewer system. I see it every time I go out on the trails, and also North B Street. I work on campus. I used to go in by the tennis courts, not now.
Yep, that's right. Badgett Drive, which is that entrance by the tennis courts, is closed right now.
Yeah.
While they install the sewer line. So I'm not sure when that'll reopen, but
who knows? But work is being done, and the weather's going to be good for a while yet. So we're just glad to see work getting done. There is other street work that's already finished, but we're going to talk about that. I got my cheat sheet here a little further on in the program. I think one thing at the top of the mind for many people is the fire station, the new to be built or expanded. I guess that's different locations are being looked at. What can you tell us? Well,
the fire chief has been talking to the city council in person and the city staff for years about the need for more room.
Yeah.
So they really cram in as much as they can into the existing firehouse, and there's some equipment that still doesn't fit, and it's stored off-site.
Wow.
So that's not optimal, because if it's needed, there's that time to go get it, where you want the fastest possible response time. So also the housing, so there's always one employee at the station at all times, 24 hours. So the sleeping quarters, ironically, aren't compliant with fire code, which means there's only one way in and out, and that's the stairs.
Wow.
It's a second floor area, so were there a fire at the fire station, that person doesn't have another place to go. There's
no fire pole.
Yeah, so it's there's some reasons to look at expanding. What happened was, before a real plan was put together that included what we're doing now, which is a site study to look at all these possible locations, including the existing location, expanding there, an opportunity came to purchase the old Department of Transportation property on Briggs. And it felt a bit rushed. The city council was asked in closed session because we didn't want to tip to the public what we were willing to spend. But we were asked to make a decision on a dollar amount that we would be willing to bid up to win the property, without a scope of work for the project, without a budget for the project of what would actually cost to build the fire station there. So that's not opportune. That's not even in line with our fiscal policy that the city adopted years back. So it was a little bit cart before the horse. However, we had to act or forfeit an opportunity to purchase it. If it had sold to a private developer, maybe they would have resold it at a higher number to the city if we were interested. You'll never know. So we did actually end up winning the auction. So the city now owns that property. However, it's premature to say that is definitely where the new fire station should go. You need to do what we're doing now, which is pay an architectural company, Klinger Inc., to look at that site and 4 others. And one of them is the existing site, and crunch some numbers. Say,
what would it cost to build here?
Response time from the location, like access to major roads, all the things that need to be considered, and then come back. And so in November, the council will hear from Klinger, now that we've hired them to do this, on what they feel each site, pros and cons for each site.
Yeah.
And the list of sites, you can find it on the city's Facebook page. It's in a paper, but they're different places in town. Some are empty lots. Obviously, the DOT building has a building that would, if we expanded there, would need to come down, so there's demolition costs. All that needs to be taken into account. So now we're kind of doing it, more systematically. We'll do a site study, then pick a site, then we'll do a scope of work, budget, identify the sources of revenue for the project, all that. And most likely, this project will have to go before the voters because the dollar figure will exceed a certain amount that the state says voters. So in that way, voters will get a chance to say yes or no, we want to do this. And then it will really be on the city to prove definitively that spending these millions, we're not sure how much, but has a very real, tangible public benefit. So what is the public benefit to the fire department having space to keep all their stuff on site? Like, that's probably going to be faster response times, which increases public safety, that kind of thing. Obviously, we want the fire personnel to be safe as well. Yeah,
the public benefit of having a building up to code.
Exactly, so getting the building up to code. And if that's not possible in the existing space, then we really will have to look at either the DOT building site, which we purchased, or maybe a different site, and then we can sell that property. So nothing is set in stone, but we've begun the process in doing our due diligence.
To be continued, I'm sure.
Yep.
So November, you'll have those results, and that's a few months away. We can report on the progress at that point, what their recommendation is.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
We'll get the site survey at that time.
These things seem to take a while, like the whole study of should it be a roundabout or a stoplight down by the hospital. But it's always for the greatest efficiency overall. Anyway, it gives us stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, and government is slow, and there's a benefit to that. The whole measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
You really want to know that you studied everything and considered all angles before spending public money, because
absolutely,
Iowa law, it's probably true in all the states, public money can only be spent for the public good, and so you have to prove that any given project for the city is for the public good. And so I think this would fit the bill, but
yeah,
a difference between the $3 million project and a $4 million project is significant. So we'll look at all those details
coming up. Well, another thing we wanted to look at, or that has been announced, is right-of-way parking. And I was asking Michael earlier, just to get clear on right-of-way. It's something that I think I've heard my husband refer to as the boulevard, the strip of land in between the street and the sidewalk or your house, which seems to be your property, but actually, if the city needs to get in under that ground for pipes, wires, anything, they're going to dig up whatever you have planted there. So that's called right-of-way. And I've just got clear on that. So right-of-way parking, I think we've all seen it. Cars parked on right-of-way parking.
Yep.
On right-of-way strips of ground.
Yes. So this is something the city's been looking at for years because, like you said, that strip of land, although property owners
we have to maintain
are
it.
responsible for maintaining it. It's owned by the city and it's used for buried utilities. So water and sewer lines are often in that area. So we wanted to have some sort of guidelines or permit process for right-of-way parking. And that's a time-intensive process to create something like we're talking about that considers all options. So the Public Safety Committee, this is 3 council members, said, well, we have to get an ordinance in place anyway, so why don't we just get the ordinance in place and then do the permitting? The problem with that is the ordinance bans all right-of-way parking everywhere in the city. And if you go to Penn School, if you go to the high school, a number of commercial properties, they all have right-of-way parking. It isn't in the grass, it's a paved area. Oftentimes it's either concrete, sometimes it's gravel. But they've been using it that way. The curb has been cut so that there's access. And so an ordinance that bans all of that could be troublesome. And then enforcing it could be even more troublesome. So say police said, well, we're only gonna ticket the people who are parking in grass where the curb hasn't been cut, which I think is what people frown upon.
Yeah.
Again, that's not what the ordinance says, and so you could get some tension there. So after some discussion at the last meeting, we decided to move it forward, move the ordinance forward to its final reading next meeting. We added the line "unless otherwise permitted" to the ordinance to reference the permit, and we collectively decided that when we vote it for its final reading, we'll add the caveat that it's not to be published, meaning made law, because it has to be publicly published in order to become a law, until the permit process is in place. So we'll finish the internal work of passing the ordinance, but it won't take effect until that permit process is in place, so that those who have right-of-way parking or potentially want to have it actually have the avenue for creating it.
So they can petition or apply to have it.
Yep.
And for instance, the schools especially, I'm sure they will apply. And
yeah, so if somebody already has it, maybe there's an application for them just to be approved. Or you know, somebody's renovating a commercial building and there's really no other parking and they want to pave a certain area, then there will be standards for doing that. So those are engineering standards. Like you have to put in this much, this thickness of concrete, this kind of support, this kind of base, you know, very specific.
And then also and if we ever need to get under there, we're going to dig into it. Yeah.
We're not going to replace it at the city's expense, and that's got to be understood and signed off on by the property owner. Again, that's, you know, they want to put that infrastructure in a public space. The city's saying okay, but in the event there's a water main break and something like that, and the city crews come in and dig it up, the city isn't going to bill the rest of the taxpayers to fix that. It's going to be on the private property owner. So those are the kind of things. And again, this isn't anything the city of Fairfield is inventing. Other cities have this. So we just want to make it fit our community and allow it where it makes sense and is done appropriately with a hard surface and a curb cut, but not allow it where someone's just pulling up on the grass and parking. And, you know.
Due to lack of a driveway or lack of a garage, which I sympathize with.
Yeah.
You see it all over town. There's no need to even mention any streets, because almost every street.
Yeah, it's very common these days. It makes me wonder if there are more people, like people living in closer quarters, more people per house because of the recession, and so they run out of parking. But again, you got to be considerate of these kind of things.
And some people like to work on cars, and each of their teenage kids, they have a car, and they're all working on.
Yeah, you're right. You've seen that. I've seen that as well. So yeah, I'll report again next time. I can say that's what the council said, but until we do it, it's not done. So.
Well, there we are on right-of-way parking coming up. And well, along with other outdoor vehicular-related things as well as pedestrian-related things, we've got some projects for updates. The Highway 1 South, Petra Park, I've seen some work going on there. Our Central Park tables, maybe you've been eating at them.
All right, so Highway 1 South, good news and bad news. Good news is the DOT approved the roundabout design and a couple different options of how to handle what's called Junction Road, which runs parallel to Highway 1 on the east side. Mm-hmm. Bad news is, because of the recession, road use tax is down. So road use tax is just a gas tax. So driving was down quite a bit earlier this year. So the road use tax fund is down. So the DOT has pushed off construction from 2022 to 2023. So still happening, just a year later.
Okay.
So that's about all there is on that one. Petra Park, they poured cement around the outside edges and ramps on the north and east side. So it looks much cleaner, much nicer, much closer to completion. They got the planters, have the flowers and grasses in them, and they're even working on the pergola for the middle. So heck, you know, if they keep it up, maybe they'll get done yet in 2020. No promises, but progress is being made. And the Central Park tables, we got a grant. I said last time we got the grant from Greater Jefferson County Foundation to pay for the tables. So those should be ordered yet this month, yet in August. There's a 6-week lead time. So the fundraising group really wants to raise the funds in September to have everything ready when the tables arrive. So maybe we could see this thing get installed yet this fall.
Cool beans. Now, kind of tangential to that, but since we're doing this on a Wednesday afternoon, I know this Saturday there's a street sweepers ball, kind of
that's
clean
right.
up the square this Saturday morning. Anybody's welcome to come along to that. So
Yep.
the square will be all spruced up and ready when
Yes.
at least as clean as possible. And there's not a whole lot to clean up, but just, you know, the alleyways, all the area around, just clean up.
Yeah, someone told me somebody spilled ice cream on the gazebo floor, so I'm gonna be scrubbing that Saturday morning. Make it
Well, all
spotless,
right.
you know?
Your work's cut out for you.
I mean, I scrubbed it right before Ragbri last year, so why not just make it an annual event, the Halley Gazebo Scrub.
Alley gazebo
of the
scrub.
year.
Well, that can lead right into another outdoor event that
yeah.
is coming up, COVID or not.
Yep. So last time or time before, I remember saying no fireworks. There are fireworks. Fireworks will be Saturday, September 5th at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds at dusk. So we didn't do them on July 4th, so we're doing them Labor Day weekend. Again, we talked about some people maybe want to stay in their cars and watch from their cars.
Yeah.
It's really up to individuals to handle their own social distancing and the like. But the show will go on.
Yeah, so that's the Saturday during Labor Day weekend, not on Labor Day, but Saturday the 5th. And yeah, that's the thing. Be wise, you know, be safe. But the fireworks will be in the sky, so you can be in your car or you can be outside, socially distanced. I guess it's going to happen.
Yep, it's going to happen.
We're
Better
gonna
late than never.
Blow up those, I was going to say blow up that money, blow up those fireworks while we're still in 2020.
Yeah, well, they do cost money. So.
Yeah, the money's been spent. So, yeah. So with that blast off of an ending, I think that brings to a conclusion this month's edition of CityBiz, unless you can think of any other.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Meanwhile, we still got plenty of good weather and hope to see you out and about on the trails or waving from your car, socially distanced, or at the fireworks.
We'll see you 6 feet away.
There you go. See you 6 feet away and see you next time.